Right, let's get into it. Wataru Endo has been subject to transfer speculation, and that is worth us therefore talking about. Marseille have put in a bid, apparently of £14 million slash euros, and, well, Roberto De Zerbi apparently wants Wataru Endo, a man who, if you'd have asked about Wataru Endo this time last year, a lot of people would have gone, who is the... Yeah, okay, I suppose he could be good. And now we're talking about a player who is one of Liverpool's only recognisable, at this point, DMs, at least exclusively DM player. There are a lot of players in that midfield who play a lot of great roles, but exclusively DM player, even though he has played other positions in his career, even though he's been shown to be very adaptable. And so for that reason, it feels like news at Liverpool, especially after the last friendly where a lot of people criticising Endo because they didn't think he couldn't do it as part of a double pivot, which I think is weird in the first place. First of all, basing all your analysis in one game. Secondly, saying that a player who is an adaptable, smart player in the first place isn't doing well because you can't see them doing well in the things you want that player to do. And yet we've not watched all that much Arne Slot football at Liverpool. Do we really know what that double pivot needs to do yet? I know he made some weird passes. Apart from that, so genuinely, when we talk about Wataru Endo leaving, I think we're talking about more than just what Liverpool and Arne Slot want out of him. I think what they're trying to get is what Liverpool want out of the system. First of all, Slot massively flagged, I'm not going to be playing this system exclusively when all the players have returned. They didn't have anyone who could be a striker or recognisable type striker up there, and therefore they played like two slightly deeper, almost false 90 types, but more like just more advanced midfielders. We can argue semantics. Then, looking on top of that, I think we saw that Curtis Jones and Endo look like an effective double pivot, but essentially there's a double box or a 6 in the centre of the midfield, and other people play a little bit more adaptably around that. I think what we did find was that Endo, as he was last season in the Klopp system, allowed so many other players so much more space, so much more time. He was very much a team player with everyone else, trying to win the ball back collectively for Liverpool, but also very cognizant of his not only positioning, but also positioning in relation to the opposition and winning ball back. Very cognizant of closing space down, a really good ball winner. And I think it's very easy to say that. Like, what I mean by that is someone who not only wins it back for themselves, but also is willing to just put a tackle in, see another player walk away with the ball. He is a player who seems very selfless for this Liverpool team. And I think when we first signed him, a lot of people probably wouldn't have known who he was. I certainly hadn't watched a lot of Stuttgart last season, or the season before, or even this season. But the point is, he wasn't a player who a lot of people went, that's the guy we were missing. And I think a lot of people thought, well, he could be one of Liverpool's smart bargains. It wasn't during the Michael Edwards era. It wasn't during an era where we were particularly analytics heavy. So there were questions around why we would sign that profile of player. It was towards the end of the Jorge Schmacht era where he had good links, obviously with the Bundesliga, good links with Eredivisie, good links with the parts of Europe that we were looking to get into, and I think that's why Liverpool bought him in the first place. He'd done some good deals, and he brought in some effective, technically brilliant and adaptable, smart players who fit Klopp's profiles very, very well, or at least effectively what Klopp was trying to achieve. We're now seeing maybe that we've changed that system. Well, we are going to change that system. It doesn't make Klopp wrong, but it does mean that maybe those players will change their profile a bit in this Liverpool team, will change what they try to achieve. Anyway, the point is, Endo within that time, I think he filled a lot of gaps for this Liverpool side. I think Liverpool were lacking a DM. I don't think there was much value in the market that summer. And I think, without a Bellingham and in the midfield rebuild that we were trying to do for a relatively modest amount of money in the Premier League, he really served a great purpose. At the time, I thought we were probably going to get another DM in. I did wonder whether because Bajcetic was still young, because we had some people coming up from the academy, because we weren't quite sure what Curtis Jones... There were so many different variables. We didn't know what Thiago was going to do. We didn't know what... at the time, obviously, we knew what Fabinho and Henderson had done. So, there was a lot of change going on at the club, should we say, and we needed someone who not only fit that bill, but also someone who would be an interesting character and someone who fit the Klopp character reference. And he fit that perfectly. He's a really great character in the dressing room. He's clearly someone who is very adaptable, not only personally, but also footballing-wise, and is one of those silent leaders on the field. His skills whisper, they don't shout often, as the same with his leadership and his team mentality skills as well. I think those are all really massive things. I think those are probably things that Jorge Schmack probably looked at himself, and equally Arne Slot will have looked at and gone, this guy fulfills a lot of what I need my team to do. Hence why he started in this game, though I don't think we have all of our midfield options back yet, and hence why he will probably start the next game as well, because he fits that DM profile, wins the ball back really well, is quite self-sacrificing. And that is a difficult profile to find within Europe, especially when you think about the value that Liverpool got. Liverpool are looking to get so much value within the market right now. I think it's interesting to see the way that's been dealt with, seeing that it's now out in the public, and that the idea of if Liverpool receive a higher bid, then they will possibly go for that transfer. Probably means that Liverpool have got some other irons in the fire. What that really means is that Liverpool probably have their idea on Edison from Atalanta, but they may also have other profiles they're looking at as well. It's probably looking like this summer, and I think not many people have made many massive signings this summer, probably because they're very conscious of the financial rules, because they're very conscious of the fact that other teams are currently just getting absolutely done in here, there, and everywhere for overspending, for this, that, and whatever, and they don't want to fall in behind that. I get that's a big excuse. Manchester United have made some pretty significant signings. No one's blown the bank this summer, though, and I think that's probably worth acknowledging here. Like, if Liverpool are to continue in the model and very much fulfill the Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards idea, that's assuming, by the way, that these guys just continue with the previous ideas of Liverpool, which I think they probably will, then obviously advanced. But I think what we're looking at here is Liverpool basically saying this profile of player fits really well, but we could get a better or a different profile of player that fits Arne Slot slightly better. If you pay what we paid for him, if you pay us a little bit more because we've proven he's a good player, because you probably wouldn't have looked at him in the first place, then we are willing to part ways with him and then bring someone else in. We sell for 20, we get someone else in for 35. We sell for 30, we get someone else in for 45. I think Liverpool are going to work their way up the ladder. They're probably looking to sell Sepp Vandenberg. They're probably looking to sell one other first team member if they are going to bring someone else in. And I think that puts Liverpool not in a strong position, but in a position where we really need to look at what is it that they're trying to achieve. We knew what Endo did for Klopp. What is it that he would do for Arne Slot? What is it that he's going to do for this Liverpool team? Does he fit that profile particularly well? Could we improve in that area? Endo's very mobile, very good at winning the ball back, got really good speed, got really good reading of the game, really was very good in significant games like the Man City one last season, but that doesn't mean that therefore he fits the exact profile. He's a great proficient footballer. Most people in modern football are great proficient footballers. I think what it probably means is that Liverpool probably would be willing to part ways with a lot of players. And we like to think a lot of these guys are kind of earmarked as, that guy's undroppable. Of course Trent is, of course Virgil is, of course those kind of guys feel that way. But ultimately, money talks at Liverpool, and as much as we might have an emotional bond with some of these guys, or we feel an emotional bond with some of these players, I don't know if that's necessarily always going to be a thing that Liverpool are cognizant of. There's going to be a lot of times where Liverpool are going to be saying, well, we've got to upgrade this squad somehow. We have to have outs if we're going to have ins. We're looking at a lot of young, promising academy prospects coming through. I think Endo is a good player to retain. I personally would retain him, but maybe they're profiling him and saying, well, we can actually get a better profile of DM. We can get better value for money, better value for Slot, better value for everyone else. Not that he's a bad player, just there's better value in the market. And I think that's worth acknowledging and looking at, because he's a very experienced player. He's 31, coming on 32. He's got a great character, but there are a lot of players in the team now who want to be leaders. There are a lot of players now who probably are coming in and will need some space to grow into that. Endo can either help them with that, or we're going to do it without. I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. I think, personally, he's an adaptable, tactical player, but I think his passing, his ball receiving, and some of his more complex play doesn't always fit what Arne Slot would like to do. Having said that, I think he's the kind of self-sacrificing, adaptable player that any manager would want in their team. And for that reason, stay or leave. I mean, Endo's already somewhat of a cult figure at Liverpool. I'd be interested to know your thoughts, though. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys then. Much love. Bye.